It's still early. Looks like I'll be able to go exploring. Yay! I wish I could tell them why I can't actually go.
All right, Toru, listen up.
Yuki? So anyway, I'll...
My fourth grader graphics. Actually, a fourth grader could probably do better. But it's just a little pillow with a Pajama Party text on it. I don't know. I'm trying to be cute. But yeah, I really wanted to try something different. Like I said before, I think I'll do this slumber party thing on the weekends. Tonight was a bit more low stakes since I knew not many people would be able to join given the work day. But weekends will be a fun time before slumber party and might allow more people to join the actual stream. But I hope you enjoy the stream while it's happening, and I hope you enjoy the VOD later. I'm currently working on some ambient noise tracks for my backgrounds. So I'm going to take each general background that I use and create a with ambient noises that I created myself. It's going to be somewhat story driven and somewhat reflective of each background. So each background's going to have different ambient noises. Yeah, I've been enjoying creating that because it's a little different from how I normally do videos and it allows for some different audio storytelling. I also finished a lot of the lore behind my VTuber. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. Ideally, I would love to share it via a animated storytelling. You know, of course, that I'm a wolf. I got turned into a human by a kind benefactor. I hope to introduce the benefactor to you soon. I'm just trying to figure out a fun, interesting way to do that. Yeah, this is the person who not only gave me my ability to speak and appear human, yay, but also funds my hot chocolate addiction. So be sure to watch all the streams and videos when you can in order to keep my hot chocolate supply flowing. Thank you. Watching Fragrance Season 2 and really enjoying that. Fragrance also has really good music as well. Like not only the opening and the ending, but also the background music is really good. I also just finished my recent rewatch of Apothecary Diaries Season 2. That was really good. I really love Mao. Mao as a character is amazing. And then I was talking about watching Time Once B-Side, which I didn't know that an idol could struggle like that. But I also watched Prince from Ghost. Is it Ghost 7? Ghost something? Ghost. What is Prince part of? Oh my god. Hang on. Prince, Prince. K-pop idol. Ghost. Oh, Ghost 9. Ghost 9. Yeah, Ghost 9. So, I watched Prince from Ghost 9 on YouTube and got a little bit more of an insight into how idols can struggle. And so that prepared me a little bit for watching this anime, Diamond's B-Side. It's very cute and a little more comedic. Struggles are they're real, but they're a little more internal. Although his life doesn't appear to be glamorous all the time. I was interested to see what anime people are enjoying currently. I know a lot of Disney artists have also struggled with being able to be open and being able to be more authentic when attached to or trying to lead the Disney brand. Like Ally and AJ, it's a band, as a duo, and then they had a brief period of being 78 Violet, which 78 vote is apparently indicative of something that can be mm, not easily corrupted, which made me think of their time at Disney. And of course, they talked about how Disney was very stifling, even when they were not currently like on a show. And now they're back being Ali and AJ as a as a brand, as a duo, and it's been really interesting to see the songs that they're able to come out with now. They're more authentic and more experimental, I think. Although I did really enjoy their earlier album like Rush, and I also enjoyed Insomniatic. That one's really good. I think Division and Closure, two of my favorite songs by them ever. Ooh, Tuber says K-pop idol struggle. What sometimes, yeah. And Cowboy Bebop is always a good anime. It is. It's got such a cool, nostalgic art style, while also looking really nice. Like, it still looks nice to me. And the audio is really good. I'm also enjoying rewatching older episodes of Sailor Moon, like more nostalgic anime, especially for the art styles where you don't see a lot of the um, like 80s and 90s style anymore, or coloring, shading. And some of that's due to like improvement in technology, streamlining, and that's okay. Like, that's even a good thing, especially for animators. But some of the the style just looked really cool, and it'd be really interesting to replicate that in other ways. I know nothing about animation in that process, so I don't know if you could achieve the same coloring or the same style, but it would be really cool, especially for anime that was either supposed to take place in the 80s or 90s or kind of created around that time. I watched the Fruits Basket abridged episode, and now I really want to watch Fruits Basket again. I've enjoyed both the reboot and the 2001 anime. Obviously, the reboot is uh, better in a lot of ways. It's more close to the manga. It's got really good music. It had a lot of the same voice actors came back for the English version, which was really nice. I love Laura Bailey as Toro. It was really good. So all the voices sounded really nice. I thought even the recasting that they did was good. For Kagura, they hired the girl who played Nanami in Kami-sama Kiss, and it was a very good casting choice. I think. If the original actress couldn't come back, which I believe she's focusing on her music, if they couldn't get the original voice actress, then it was a really good casting choice, I think. Especially because Nanami and Kagura have similar personality. Although Nanami's not quite as violent as Kagura. But I really enjoyed the reboot and the remake, I should say. And it went more in depth. I found myself enjoying season 2 and 3 a lot more than season 1, not because it wasn't good, but because some of the episodes I actually thought were a little bit better in 2001. Not necessarily in terms of art style, which I love because it's nostalgic and cute and pretty, but more because the direction I think was different. So, for example, episodes like the one where Laura goes home to visit her grandfather, she has to move back in with him, and she says she wants to stay with the Somas. I felt that the scene hit harder the way it was directed in the original. Although I can see how the original did it really well, so they chose to do something different, such as focusing on Kyo and Yuki trying to find the house based on Toru's bad drawings, her bad directions. And then of course there was the other one, so where Toru goes to visit the Soma estate, and Hattori is there. She goes to meet him, and Hattori tells her about his life, and they have the infamous "when snow melts, what does it become? It becomes spring" quote. I felt like the original direction was a little better in terms of how Kana and Hattori's relationship was portrayed. Like it showed her. I can't remember if she did or he did, but one of them put a blanket over the other, which is very sweet. And of course, the new anime showed some shots of them under cherry blossom trees and at the beach, which are very sweet and romantic, but they don't give us a lot of insight into their characters. I did feel like the voice acting was much improved in the new episode and the reboot in general, but of course that episode in particular. And I felt like the music was good in both. I really enjoyed the music in both anime. And the placement of it is really good. For example, when in 2001, when Hattori tells her about Anna, and he says like, "When snow melts, what does it become?" And then eventually he starts to walk away from her, and she says, "Oh, it's snowing," and the music starts. It's really nice. And then a similar moment happened when Toru is confronted with Akito for the first time, and asks, "Who are you?" And trying not to include spoilers, but there's a pause in the music when she asks, "Who are you?" And there's an intensity and a nice build up to it that really works for that scene. It's during the beach house arc in season 2. So that's a really good one. Uh, so there were times where I thought season 1 of 2001 anime was a little better in terms of direction, but I found myself enjoying it a lot more in terms of character expansion, tone, that kind of thing. Especially for Shigure. Yeah, so I enjoyed both, and I would watch for nostalgia, for the art style, the music, and certain episodes, especially certain funny episodes, such as the one where really funny. It's the one where Thor's friends go to visit her at the Soma house, and there's some added scenes of shenanigans where Shikuze and Kyo and Yuki almost transform in front of her friends, Hana and Uo. So that's a really nice episode too. But I found myself really enjoying season 2 and season 3 a lot more because I didn't have anything to compare it to. It was just new material for me. And there wasn't as much, I guess, complaints about it in that, you know, manga only fans were able to watch it with new eyes too, rather than, comparing it to the mishaps or the things that we're missing from the manga in the 2021 adaptation. Or 2001 adaptation. I don't know if I said 2021, but yeah. Tuber, have you seen Fruits Basket? Yes, I think I am mostly into romantic anime, although I tend to go for that mainly because it typically has a character arc, like character driven storytelling, because it's focusing on two people in their relationship. But I would say that in terms of anime, I will watch pretty much any anime as long as it's not too scary. And as long as it has good character arc. Like good characterization, good character arcs, character development, that kind of thing. So I guess I do tend to watch a lot of dramas or romance anime because of that. Like as a consequence of enjoying that type of content. Oh, you enjoy Fruits Basket. Who was your favorite character? I think my favorite character is Toru. Toru is so interesting because she has a lot of depth to her. And you can see it even in 2020, 2001 anime and 2019 through 21 anime. Uh, so Toru is my favorite. She's very relatable to me, and I also found her arc of needing to ask for what she wants or tell people what she wants to be very relatable. Um, I also love Yuki and Kyo, of course. They're all really good. Oh man, I think um Shikaze Shikaze was really interesting in this in this series as well. Especially his relationship with Akito. Like everyone's relationship with Akito is interesting, but his especially. Oh, of course, and Akito and Yuki, of course. And Akito was a little more interesting in this one as well. We got to see a little more of Akito. I felt like uh the the original voice actor for Akito was really good, but it didn't quite match certain things in the story. There were reasons why Akito needed to sound a little bit softer, um, the way they do in the way Akito does in the 2019 Fruits Basket. So both voice acting was really good and fitting for Akito, but obviously the second one was more fitting. Uh, if we're going by the manga. Ooh. Oh, Duper says there's an anime called Snow White with Red Hair, and it's like Apothecary Diaries but different. No, I completely agree. I agree. Okay. Snow White with Red Hair was really good. Like, I really enjoyed it. Not only for the romance, um, but it's very pretty, and it has a lot of depth to it as an anime. It's about an herbalist, so I can see where the Apothecary Diaries, uh, Apothecary Diaries comparison comes in, and the characters are also very capable. They're very capable. They have a lot of agency, even in very difficult situations, and I respect that a lot, especially with female characters who tend to. I feel like across all media, pretty much, they tend to have less agency, or you have to work harder to give them agency. Have to work a little harder to make their capabilities shine. And I feel like Mau Mau and uh, characters in Snow White with red hair are really capable and therefore very interesting given their situations. So I love that comparison. And the romance is very nice too. I really enjoyed that. Um, and I also enjoyed that all the characters, or a lot of the main characters, alluded to being LGBT. So I headcanon all of them as bi. Like there were a lot of scenes where Shirayuki is blushing in the bounce, looking at other women, and um, um, Prince Sen, I believe that's his name, Prince Sen. He alluded to when he's talking about partners. He was like they them kind of thing. Let me make sure I'm not. Yeah, I need to rewatch. Oh my gosh, I need to rewatch this show. Character. Yeah, it's Zen. Okay, Zen and Shirayuki. I was right. They're really good characters, and I really enjoyed them. And I need to rewatch that show because it was really good. And I think the comparison between Snow White with her hair and Apothecary Diaries is an apt one. Tuber says, I like the car guy. Can't remember his name. I related a lot to him in some ways. It's been a while since I saw it myself. Yeah. I also, yeah, I watched it several years ago, and it's one of my favorite anime. Snow White with red hair, actually. Which character are you talking about? Um, for Fruits Basket. Oh, Cat Guy from Fruits Basket. Okay, okay, yeah, that's Kyo. Kyo. He is he's something. I wish. Okay, controversial time, controversy time. But I wish that the reboot of Fruits Basket had given us Kyo in a crop top because he deserves crop tops and he looks really cute in them. And there are dice to move around in. I'm sure, do martial arts in crop tops. So I think Kyo should have more crop tops. Yeah. Yeah. Mistyping. I was like, who is the car guy? It was like, wait, is there, is he are we talking about Akito? Because we see Akito in a car often? Um, is there someone else who like drives cars or fixes cars that I forgot? Haru seems like he might be a car person. At the very least, he um is a motorcycle bike person. Yeah. So I was like, who are you talking about? But yeah, Kyo. It's Kyo. Uh, I might need some more hot chocolate. Oh, I also noticed that a lot of characters I like are cat coded, cat vibes. uh, let's see, Mamau, Kyo. Toru likes Kyo, so she likes cats. Let's see who else is cat coded. Um, Mia from Skate Infinity. Oh, is comments say chat says I haven't seen Fruits Basket in years, and I don't own it, so I forgot everyone's names. That's fair. That's fair. I really um I watched it recently, and it was one of my favorites, and I watched it several times throughout the years, both in terms of 2001 and the reboot in 2019. So I remember most people's names. Um, but yeah, if you only watch something once and don't watch it for a long time, you'll forget some the names. Sometimes that's okay. I would really like. I mean, I've talked about this many times, but I would really, really like it if um, anime streaming had English audio descriptions. They typically have Japanese audio descriptions, but they never add any in other languages. Like, why? We need audio descriptions too. We really do. And then there's not a way to get, I guess, missing information as easily. Sometimes people will post like summaries on YouTube or like a wiki, and you might be able to fill in the gaps that way, get more information that way, and fill in the gaps of what you missed. But still, streaming services at the very least should have more accessibility options. And if they're adding the Japanese accessibility options in there, such as Japanese closed caption or Japanese audio description, surely they can think to record some English ones, or just translate the Japanese ones and record them in English. I don't know. I think that streaming services could do a lot better, especially given all the money that they have. Like this isn't, some small indie studio producing a DVD. This is a streaming service that gets tons of money from subscriptions. And so they can easily add audio descriptions in there. Come on. Just add some audio descriptions, I'm begging you. Luckily, a lot of anime tends to discuss what they're doing, kind of. Not maybe not so much during intense action scenes, but sometimes during I don't know, like in Apothecary Diaries, Mama will make a deduction about something, or point out someone's facial expression, or point out something that she saw later, and they'll be able to fill in the gaps a little bit more. But sometimes there are just some things that you can't infer as easily. I tend to be the one to describe a lot of anime in undescribed content to my friends since I have some vision. And so I notice certain things, like certain patterns that tend to pop up when, such as when audio description is needed, when it will probably be added by the character through dialogue, or in a flashback, or expanded upon later. I notice that a lot of action scenes, though, in many genres, of course, tend to have a lot of things happening at once, and so it can be harder to include audio description, even if I'm just making it myself at the, as I'm watching with them. I guess the fact that anime tends to be a little bit slower in pacing, at least sometimes, makes it slightly easier to add audio descriptions, because while a camera is focusing on, I don't know, a close up of someone's eye, close up of their mouth, that kind of thing, maybe looking at the background, there can be a space for more audio descriptions versus something like a Western cartoon like Gravity Falls might have a couple shots of the characters before they run off and do something, or something happens, such as on screen or in the background. So it can be harder to include the descriptions. Yeah, audio description would be so good for anime, especially something like Freeran, which tends to be like it's not. How do I explain? It tends to include a lot of montages, scenes of the characters walking, imagery, um, backgrounds that are pretty insignificant to the tone. A lot of action scenes that are really cool. It would benefit a lot from audio description. Sometimes they do tend to talk about what they're doing or what they're seeing, which is helpful. But it's not quite as much audio description through dialogue as it is in like something like Apothecary Diaries. If that makes sense. So it depends on what type of anime it is. If it's a like introspective type of anime, there'll be a lot of characters thinking and kind of narrating stuff to themselves. And sometimes that can help you get information, or you can kind of infer a little bit more. There also tends to be dialogue heavy anime like Spice and Wolf. Spice and Wolf is very dialogue heavy, and a lot of it focuses on the relationship between Holo and Lawrence. There is some action scenes, and there are, of course, important background things and facial expressions that you might miss, but a lot of it is filled in through dialogue, tone, um, narration, that kind of thing. There's also the audiobooks available, which can fill in the gaps a little bit, I think, for a person who was, watching the anime and wanted more insight into what was going on. But the dialogue is one of the highlights. It's one of the draws in that show in particular, and so that makes sense. There might be less things that we're missing based on the lack of English audio descriptions, but in something like I don't know, Berserk, maybe Cowboy Bebop, a little more action. Uh, Shows where there's a little more action involved. Yeah. Um, Another show that I'm thinking of that might benefit from audio descriptions, ironically, is oh god, what was that show? Oh my gosh. It's about Yuki and she was deaf and let's see. Oh, A Sign of Affection. Yes. Now, A Sign of Affection, I think in particular would benefit from audio description mostly because people can be deafblind, and of course deafblind is a spectrum, so some people might benefit more from the audio description, some people might benefit more from closed captioning, that kind of thing. um but with A Sign of Affection in particular, because she's deaf, there is some uh visual heavy moments, and there's some times where she doesn't necessarily always narrate what's going on or comment on it through her internal narration. And so I think that would be a beneficial anime. Or anime. I think that would be an anime that would benefit from audio description. Chat says, how would audio description capture Ed from Cowboy Bebop, though? She's pure chaos at times. No, this is so it's so accurate. Um, yeah, it is difficult to capture like more chaotic characters. Uh, it's especially when it's especially difficult when not only is the character chaotic, but the action is jam packed, or they have short scenes of action followed by like longer scenes of introspection or character dialogue, that kind of thing. Like maybe like Neon Genesis Evangelion, that kind of thing, where they're fighting in mechs. There's quite a lot of uh, flashing imagery that is very important. There's a lot of flashing text that can be important. And not only that, but that can go very quickly, almost like a subliminal message for visual people. Um, but even visual people might miss something, and so something like that, I think, would also benefit from audio descriptions, or at least if we can't have audio descriptions, maybe like some kind of official wiki that is updated with blind people in mind, as well as just a general summary in mind. Knowing that, hey, this particular shot didn't have any dialogue, it wasn't really commented on, but it could provide some context or tone or enhance the show in some way. That said, though, some of the wikis are really good at including a lot of detailed information, and sometimes you can also find summaries or reactions on YouTube about certain shows that will carry a little more information that you might have missed if you were just listening, or you tend to miss a little bit because of visual impairment. Another accessibility thing I think would be cool would be to change the size or color of the subtitles in anime. There might be some places where you can do that, but I don't know if the official streaming services allow that. And the difficulty is that some pirating websites are harder to navigate with a screen reader. They won't include audio descriptions typically. And the subtitles might be harder to alter to make accessible for you. And that can be challenging. But I feel like it'd be a really cool addition to streaming services. But they don't care. So. Mech anime would have awesome description in some shows. Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking like Evangelion, of course, and Code Geass. Code Geass is very heavy in terms of mechs. The nightmare frames are really cool. I think there's definitely a channel called Overanalyzing Anime that so far has covered Death Note and Code Geass. And that channel is really good in terms of overanalyzing anime in a fun and interesting way, as well as providing recaps and review, in addition to filling in some of the gaps for people who don't have as much vision or maybe may have missed a few details due to low vision. So that's really cool. I really like that. I like that channel a lot. I'll link it in the description. It's called Overanalyzing Anime. Oh, let's see. It says can't read subtitles, so I don't worry about that much. An anime called Big O came to mind. It's so good. Oh, what is Big O about? Interesting. Yeah, reading subtitles is really difficult. It's kind of annoying because they're supposed to be I mean, I know they're supposed to be sorry. It's a slumber party, y'all. I'm tired. um I know that these subtitles are supposed to increase accessibility for, non-Japanese speakers so that they're able to engage with the show as well. But I also wish that they could be more accessible, such as increased size or color. Some anime also have like if they have a lot of snow, or like white backgrounds, that can interfere sometimes with the subtitles. And I have to pause, like zoom in, go back, try to read as best I can. So that's also why sleepy. That's also why a lot of blind people have to watch dubs if they're not Japanese and they don't speak. If you're not Japanese and you don't speak Japanese, you don't understand Japanese well enough to listen without subtitles, then you need a anime in your language. Let's see. Big O anime. Let's see what this is about. A mecha anime that blends film noir, detective fiction, and giant robot action. Set in the memory-wiped Paradigm City, where negotiator Robert Smith pilots a digital robot to fight rogue machines. Oh, cool. Oh, it's 1999 to 2000, which is cool. Yeah, I might watch that. Sounds really interesting. I also like that's a little bit older. It kills me to call it an older anime, but I guess if it's 90s or early 2000s, then it is considered older. Oh, chat says Big O is Batman, but with skyscraper-sized mechs. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Especially with the noir vibe, gives me like a Batman the animated series noir vibe. That show is really good. Batman the animated series is probably one of the best Western animated shows of all time, at least in my opinion, and it does show up a lot in other people's rankings of animated shows, along with Avatar, stuff like that. But I've really enjoyed Batman the animated series because of the noir vibe, the noir inspiration. So I think I'd like to watch Big O. Wish I owned it, yeah. If you can stream it, let me know where you found it. I want to see it again. Okay, I shall. Um, I guess it can be harder to find uh certain older anime because a lot of newer anime, it has to be streamed somewhere, and depending on how well it does in Japan, it might get a dub or it might get a DVD sale, something like that. But older anime, um, you never know. If it's not like Death Note or something, or Cowboy Bebop, there may not be as much incentive to keep streaming it. It's just frustrating. But if I find it, I will let you know. Yeah, it sucks when you can't you can't watch an anime or a show in general that you really like and want to see again. You just can't find it. Um, yeah, I feel like now my background is very bright for a slumber party stream. I really like the background, but the sky is like a light blue. It's very mid morning, mid afternoon vibes. And I think I might try to find something that has a nighttime background, maybe, so that when I stream during slumber party streams, I can have that to fit the mood. Tuber, you might also be interested to know that I'm creating ambiances for my backgrounds. So we'll have the description of the background in the description box, and then to go along with it will be basically a static picture of my background, and then also a accompanying ambient track. It can be hard to find on DVD too. It's really expensive. Yeah. I also noticed that DVDs might be harder to find now as well. Now that things are moving towards streaming only, but the the issue with that is that you don't own it. Like you don't. Mm, when it's only available on streaming, it could be taken off anytime. It can also be moved or harder to access based on where it is, or uh, maybe you buy it online, but if it's digital and you don't have like a backup somehow, it can still be taken away from you. And that's frustrating. So I think DVDs and physical media are definitely making a more of a comeback, especially for games and shows. And I know a lot of DVD players and computers don't like they're not around anymore that allow you to access DVDs, but you can buy a separate CD component that lets you play CDs and hook it up to your computer, so you can still play certain games or use that to watch certain DVDs. Tuber says, "Yes, I love owning my anime." uh, Yeah, that's completely understandable. I have a lot of friends who own the DVDs of certain shows that they really enjoy. Problem is that they're so expensive now. Or maybe they were always expensive, but now that there's other alternatives, the DVDs are treated like a collector's item. Or there aren't many sources available for them, and so they can be higher priced. Do you remember when anime used to be like, uh, you had to go to the rental store and get anime, and it would probably be maybe 2 to 4 episodes per um DVD. Like you either had to wait a long time for the rest of the season, or you had to keep going back to get the next volume. Yeah, you can get sales online. That's pretty good. You remember that too? I kind of wish that some of the stores would come back. Like obviously we do have libraries. If you're fortunate enough to um be near a library, you can go to one and get DVDs, you can get CDs, you can get a lot of different media in addition to books. But if you don't live near one, you can also get them online. All you need is a library card, which you can also get online now. So for example, I emailed my library and I was like, "Can I have a library card?" And they're like, "Yes." And then they said most of the time, um, the books and they have ebooks and audiobooks that you can get through Libby. They have certain, I think it's Hoopla. You can get video, CDs, tapes, other things like that. So that's really nice. I also think that since vinyl's coming back, maybe DVDs will come back more too. Like I know that um for a lot of reasons vinyl and gaming is going back toward physical media, and vinyl sounds really good as well. In addition to the benefits of owning the record, um, but shows aren't necessarily always like the physical media hasn't necessarily impacted them yet, but I hope it will, because it'd be really nice to be able to get more shows and stuff on DVD and like through physical media as opposed to only streaming. And so I really like libraries for that. Um, and if your library doesn't have a lot of availability, you can still probably have access to their digital space, such as Libby or something similar. And they tend to have a little more. Like my library doesn't have as much availability in terms of newer editions or manga, that kind of thing. But it does have Libby, and so that's where I get the majority of my stuff. I still get some manga physically, and then I can put it under my Zoom Tech and read it, or read it with my phone through my phone camera. That's how I have to make it available to me since accessible. That's how I make manga accessible to me since sometimes the text can be really small. Chances I'm 38, I remember a lot of stuff. Well, kind of. I'm sure you remember more than you think. Yeah, but I was saying I really like. I kind of miss Blockbuster. I know it sounds silly, but when I was little, it was just going away. Um, and it had a lot of DVDs that you could choose from to rent, and that was really fun. And it also maybe it was a little harder to find stuff though. because you had to look at each, look at the back of each DVD. But it also had like snacks you could get, which is cool. So I used to ask for a snack every time we went to Blockbuster. I wonder what the equivalent Blockbuster was in your country or area. I know a lot of secondhand and like physical media shops are coming back. So like sharing not only anime and like comic book shops, but also just physical media in general. It's really cool. So I think that's really nice. I would love to own more physical media, more DVDs, more records. I currently have um a lot of anime merch, which is fun. So I think just DVDs would be a logical next step. So I own like prints, I own some buttons and enamel pins. Those are really fun. I want an enamel pin of my VTuber model. or an art print, something. Something that'd be really fun. Might talk to some artists and see about that. Oh, when did libraries have manga? Yeah, you live in the US. Okay. Libraries, um, it depends on, I guess it depends on where they are and uh, the size of them. So I know that my library has a small manga section, and a couple other libraries I've been to throughout the U.S. had manga sections. They were not very big, um, and maybe not as updated, but I know that now certain let's see, Libby has a few ebooks of manga. That's really cool. Um, yeah, so I guess it depends on the library because some of them do have extensive physical copies of manga. Some have very limited physical copies, and some don't have any physical copies, but they might have access to digital copies. So again, even if your library is very small and doesn't have access to a lot of stuff, it might give you like the library card might give you access to the equivalent of Libby in your area or Hoopla. There's a couple other stuff as well in other countries that allow you to access either their digital catalog, newspaper archives, that kind of thing. It's really cool. And you can do interlibrary loan through there as well. Where you are, the local library might not have any. Yeah, and that can be frustrating. I would send a quick email to your library, or call and be like, "Do y'all have any manga? If you want a manga," and that way it saves you a trip. Because I also have difficulty getting around, and just knowing like that I have access to digital media or I have access to if I were to go in there, I would have access to what I'm looking for there, or it would be in stock, that kind of thing, or not in stock. What's the library term? Available at that time. So I think there's a lot of benefits to physical media, and there's a lot of benefits to digital media. I just wish that there was more of a permanence and availability and accessibility involved in digital media, and I wish that there was more widespread accessibility of physical media. That makes sense. And with manga, I use Zoom technology on my phone, my phone's camera. I also use NFB reader, and I also have a Zoom Tech device. You put the book under the machine, and the text will be enlarged for you, and you can look at it through camera, through a big screen. So that's really cool. But yeah, there's some ways to read manga. It's not as easy as like an audiobook or something. And it's not easy to scan the way like a print book might be, but there's some flexibility there. Also, if you're Japanese or you understand Japanese well enough, there might be an audio version of the manga, like an audio drama. I know those are really popular in Japan, and it's kind of like a podcast but for manga. I hope that one day those are translated into English, because that'd be really cool, especially for a manga like Yankee-kun and White Kangaroo. Yeah. Uh, Again, I just really suggest doing a quick general search for your libraries and then being like, hey, library, do you have this and this? And if not, do you have a digital, like, do you have a way for me to access something like Libby or Hoopla or an equivalent digital catalog? And if not, they also might be able to direct you to other sources. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, my library is very small, they don't have a lot of stuff, they're hard to get to. I would say that just emailing them and asking what they have and where you can find it, they'll generally be able to help you, because they also deal with a lot of the community that it, involving like teenagers, young children, maybe lower income or homeless people that need those spaces, those physical spaces, and also need those resources. Like I know that the libraries do mock job interviews or offer study spaces or places where you can go to do a virtual job interview. And it's really hard for people who have unstable housing or unsafe housing, or maybe they just need a space to be that doesn't expect them to buy anything. And so they're used to giving and like knowing where those resources are, even if they're not available at that particular library. So email is good just to check, or phone call if that's accessible to you. And then of course just doing a quick Google search about like Libby equivalent in our country or digital catalog, something like that. Yeah, so it's really cool. Definitely something to look into. I mean, the worst that could happen is that you can't access it and you're still back where you were. So yeah, um chat says I wish I could speak Japanese. That would be awesome. I wish I just understood Japanese more, so that I could at least listen. Like I could put on an anime and just listen to the Japanese and not have to pause or read or look at the subtitles. There are certain times where I can understand what they're saying, but it's nowhere near enough to be able to listen to it without subtitles. So yeah, and it would give me access to the audio descriptions, which would be amazing. The Japanese audio descriptions and the Japanese audio dramas, like those are really good. And I know a lot of them have been translated into English, but that's not always the case for the audio dramas that were made based on manga, such as White Kangaroo and Yankee-kun, or Yankee-kun and White Kangaroo, that manga. And the reason I bring up that one in particular is because the audio drama was made for blind people. So, yeah. That'd be really cool. You can tell I'm getting tired. I think my voice is going out. If you're tired, you should sleep. Oh, I'm gonna have my face drawn on. It's a slumber party. Don't want to be the first one to go to sleep. But I really enjoyed having a slumber party with you all. And whether you have joined today or you're watching the VOD, I hope you have a good night. I stream every Monday roughly at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also doing these slumber party or pajama party stream. Yeah, pajama party stream probably every Friday or Saturday. I'll have to figure out the time that works. Thank you so much for joining. Bye!